It's Friday, finished my first week of being furloughed. It hasn't really felt like I've been furloughed. It's just felt like a long weekend at this point. But yeah, trying to make the most of it, doing some Photoshop work, doing some stock imaging, doing some videos. I got one coming today. Obviously, you're watching it now. Yesterday, I spent the day doing a video for my wife's channel. She has an amazing channel. I'll put a link in the description here. And she does a reading channel to kids, and we did a Dr. Seuss book, and it turned out really pretty good. So check that out, especially if you have small kids. This video here, I've shot over the last couple of weeks, actually, and it's been kind of bits and pieces. So hopefully it will make some sense. A little disclaimer from the beginning that I did it like that. So hopefully you can follow along and get something out of it. I think the final image that I did for this shoot turned out really nice. I'm having some issues to recording my screen. I don't know why it won't. It's recording, but it's not exporting it and saving that file. I'm going to try to work through that. Hopefully I will figure it out, and it will be at the end of this video. But I'm telling you right from the beginning, this might be a little bit of a train wreck, but the image at the end is super cool, and I had a good time photographing this. So enjoy it, and I will probably come back at the end of the video and tie this whole thing together. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it from the outset here. Talk to you in a second. Hey everybody, I'm gonna go take a picture tonight, and I'm gonna bring you along because it could be kind of fun. There is a super cool building not too far from my house that a new restaurant has just got into. Now, it was an old gas station, I think, originally. But it's super attractive, and you'll see when I get there how cool this place is. But ever since they've opened, it's been super crowded. The parking lot is just packed full of cars, and to take the really great shot, I think the best angle is going to be like almost right off this busy street. So kind of a tricky shot to take. However, we are in the midst of this coronavirus scare, whatever you want to call it. And I think they're pretty much closed, so I think this might be the perfect opportunity to go get this photograph. Because when I drove by there the other night, there were hardly any cars at all in the parking lot, and they still had all the neon lights and stuff on. So it looks like it's going to be a good sunset tonight, and it might be a good opportunity to have an empty parking lot and get this photograph. So we're going to go take a shot at that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I got permission to be in there since they are open. He said tomorrow they're going to be drive-through only, so we might have to come back tomorrow to see if the parking lot's a little more clear, because if you can see behind me, there are cars in the parking lot, but the sunset is going to be great tonight, so I'm going to still try it. But let me show you this building real quick. I mean, that's super cool. Now, one little disclaimer, I have to be honest, before they came in and did this renovation and put the restaurant in here, this was just abandoned. I shouldn't say abandoned, but it was empty. Nobody was using it. And I used to drive past here thinking this would be a phenomenal photo studio. I could see the Studio 12 logo going right there and looking really, really cool. But of course, I never got to that. I would have never been able to do what these guys did for the building. So that's all good. But we're gonna set up, we're gonna try to take this, and let me see if I can show you this sign. Yeah, look at, see, even the sign's really cool, and when the neon lights come on, it's gonna be great. So I'm gonna go get my camera, get things set up, and we'll go from there. CEO just came out and met with me. That was great. He was fantastic. No problem with me taking pictures here, so we'll continue on. But as you can see, this street right here is rather busy. It's not, nobody's coming by right now, but that's a rather busy street. And to be honest with you, I'd like to be about a lane and a half in to get the perfect angle. So it's a possibility that I might shoot the sign separately from the building and then Photoshop it in together and make all that work. But as you can also see behind me, should be a nice sunset tonight, I'm hoping. So maybe tonight's the night to get a really cool shot. all the lights in the inside start lighting up, that'll be great. Okay, so it's kind of a tricky building to photograph to get the perfect angle, because like I said, it'd be nice to be about a lane or two out into this street, but I don't think I could sit out there for very long, or yeah. Like I said, it's a fairly busy street, but let me show you the angle that I got. So I'm shooting from here, and that's not bad, but if you notice, I'm not very far from the street, but I think I should be okay tonight. There's not a ton of traffic. And now I'm just waiting for the sun to go down, the lights to come up. And it'd be nice if there was, it'd be nice if the lights in the building would come on and just glow. So hopefully we'll get to that point too. And we'll just take a series of shots. Hopefully some of these cars will move out. It's obviously orange Jeep night. 1, 2, they kind of stand out. But I think I mentioned this before. Tomorrow night they start doing drive-through only orders, so the parking lot might be even more empty tomorrow, but not sure what the weather's supposed to be like, but we may be back tomorrow. We'll see. Standing out here waiting for the sun to go down reminds me something we used to do when we used to shoot film on a photo like this. Chrome film only had a latitude of like 5 stops. And so we used to photograph downtown skylines and buildings like this at night, but we'd have to do it in 2 exposures. So what you would do is you would set up your camera, get everything in order when the sun was still up. When the sunset got perfect, you would take your first exposure of just the sunset, and your building or your skyline would be basically silhouetted, and then you would just sit there, don't move the camera, and you would wait for the sun to go completely down, get dark, and all the lights on the building to come up, and then we would take that second photograph on the same sheet of film. When I was going to college, we used to call that a split exposure. And it would take hours. I mean, you would set up a half an hour or so before the sunset was perfect and brilliant and the sky was all lit up, and then you'd wait another hour, 2 hours for the sun to go completely down so that sky in the back was dark to get that second exposure. And if your film moved at all, you could get these double-edged kind of funky things that would just ruin the shot. So you'd have to get the exposure correct as well. You didn't have all these digital sliders to pull and fix your stuff. So I just remember all those times when we used to sit on the edge of the river in Dayton, Ohio to get that perfect skyline shot. And I did many of them. I'll have to see if I can come up with any of those, but this is a very pleasant night. It's warm out and it's beautiful. Okay, it's 2 days later. We're gonna go back and try to photograph this restaurant again. I would have gone last night, but it was really cloudy. But remember, they are closing the dining room section and just doing takeout. So I'm hoping there'll be less cars in the parking lot this time. Good news, there's only 3 cars in the parking lot. It looks like they're picking stuff up and will probably be leaving. So that's good. And if I turn around this way, sunset's got some potential. So let's get this thing set up. I think I know the angle that I like. Let's hope for the best. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking now that it's kind of all playing out. The sky is not bad. I think we might have to add some color to it. I think everything is going to work out. Hopefully these cars will leave, but if they don't, what I'm thinking to do is eventually, hopefully get to some kind of car show, take some photos of some more period appropriate cars, late 50s, early 60s cars, trucks, whatever, photograph those and then Photoshop them in there and make this whole thing into a more of a composite than just a straight forward shot. At the moment, I'm at a 1/10 of a second, f8. I've got it on the little self timer, so it takes 10 seconds to, once I push the button, for it to settle down before it takes the photograph. Check this thing out. Instagram looks pretty good. I think we're good to go. I think the only thing is to wait a little bit, and as it gets a little darker, the lights come up, we'll just keep adding different exposures to get it all the pieces that we can compile it together. Worst part about that was setting up right there in the middle of that driveway, hoping nobody would come through. Luckily, nobody came through, but I think we got the shot. So I'd love to have some cars in that parking lot that fit the era of the building. So I was hoping to go to a car show, but with this whole shut down America thing going on, who knows when I'm going to get to a car show again. And I think maybe, see all those CDs and DVDs up there? I may have some car show images from up there. I'm gonna go do some searching, and maybe, not sure if I shot them at the right angle or not, but maybe I have something to use. So for a long time, when I did a job, I would put all the raw images as well as the processed images on a CD or a DVD, and then they fill my shelves and they just sit there. So I've got tons and tons of footage and images. Let's go through this and see what we can find. Boys at a truck show. Another truck show, 2005. Ooh, Shelby Cobras. Boys and cars. Maybe. Dream truck. Maybe. We'll have to see. this screen recording to save for some reason. I don't know why this final one won't work. All the others seem to work just fine. This one isn't working, and this particular little clip was me showing every layer that I did, trying to explain the things that I did. I think most of it's obvious. I brought in a truck from a different photo shoot that I had done probably 15 years ago. I brightened up the sky. I gave the sky some contrast. I used two different images of the building itself. One was a much longer exposure, exposing for the inside of the building so that I could get some better detail in there. And then, let me think what else. There was just some shading and some different things. But the big thing I wanted to talk about that I did was the two cars that were on the left side of the image. I ended up clone stamping those out. Now, the clone stamp is not usually a tool that I would consider a go-to tool to do something that big with. It's just not the best tool to completely erase something. Usually I would have a second image where there was no cars there and I would blend the two or something. But I didn't really have that as an option. I didn't have another car sitting in the right direction to put it over there. So I ended up clone stamping that out, and it turned out fairly well. In the process of that, I was having problems with the lines in the parking lot, so I ended up taking those out altogether as well, which I think probably in the end was a better result because the lines were bright and kind of distracting. And so all in all, taking the cars out with the clone stamp worked. Again, not my way that I would normally do that, but in Photoshop there's 100 different ways to do something, so that worked in this case, and hope you enjoy the final image. Thank you so much for watching, and I would appreciate comments, questions, complaints. Hit the subscribe button while you're there, and I thank you. I will see you again very soon. Bye.